Thanks for coming along. Welcome to Design for Non-Designers, the Library and Educators Edition. I am Brigitta Ryan, and I'm a graphic designer with recently I had to update it to say 18 years of experience. But I've been doing this a long time, and I love to talk about design to non-designers because increasingly in our world, in our workplaces, we are expected to communicate visually, and I am here to help you do it. No jargon, no gatekeeping from designers' secrets. Let's put everything on the table and let's make it that everyone that you work with and yourselves can communicate more effectively and make things run more smoothly. Because that's what good design does. If your signs are easily understood, if your posters make people stop and look, if your presentation decks or handouts are actually read all the way through, it means people are understanding things quickly, and it means the world around you runs more smoothly. That's why this is so important. So I'll be clear, this isn't a Canva-specific tutorial. I'm just using Canva as my platform and program for creating. This is graphic design. This is something you were probably not taught, and yet you still have to do it every day. So let's get into very strategic design principles that will help you communicate more effectively. Let's talk about 3 simple design principles that will instantly improve almost anything you make, whether it's a library poster, a handout, a classroom slide, a social tile, a thumbnail for YouTube. Whatever you're working on, these principles apply. These are core foundational principles for graphic design. They will make your content feel clear, confident, and readable. Maybe not trendy or perfect, but just better, so that things are better understood. So I'm going to let you in on a bit of the secret that a lot of graphic designers wouldn't want you to know, and that is that bad designs still work. Your designs will always work, but only if your audience works harder. What I mean by this is that every time you hit publish on something or print something out that's hard to follow, what you're doing is you're saying to your audience, the reader, the student, the colleague, I hope you can figure this out for yourself. I hope you've got the time to figure this out for yourself. So no wonder some people don't notice, the new posters you put up or the newsletter you send out. Because good design would make it easier for them to understand your message. You don't need to be a pro at design, but you can learn some simple visual literacy skills that will help you be a more effective communicator. I don't want you to be putting bad designs out there. No graphic designer does. So when in doubt, know that your communications still work. They just require a bit more effort on the audience's side. And what good design does, and what these design principles I'm going to talk to you about do, is remove that friction a bit. They make it easier for the person who's taking in the information to read something more quickly, to understand it instantly. So don't doubt that your work is effective already and communicates. We're just trying to elevate it to make it more effective and more successful and more likely that people will read every word that you put on that poster or in that newsletter. Hierarchy. This is the big one, quite literally. Hierarchy in graphic design means guiding the eye. What do you want people to read first, second, third? And sometimes it can be as straightforward as putting them on the page in that order. But thinking about reading a newsletter heading or a reading challenge poster, if everything is the same size, nothing stands out and the message is a bit too overwhelming. Here is a great example of when hierarchy is not implemented in your design. This is Book Week Parade, Wednesday 10 a.m., come dressed as your favorite character. But it's all the same font, all the same size, and it's just a block of text. It's not appealing to read, and it takes me longer because I have to read every single word. I can't tell what's more important, and I can't tell if this is relevant information for me straight away. Now look at this version. A big, bold title, Book Week Parade, Wednesday 10 a.m., come dressed as your favorite character. This version tells you what matters first. It's not prettier, it's just more effective. And that's what hierarchy does. When in doubt, make the most important thing the biggest thing on the page and put it at the top of the page. And then from there, work down in terms of level of importance or detail that someone might need. It's okay if someone only reads the first headline on your poster and then walks away. It means it's not relevant to them. But for people who it is relevant for, that big text will hook them in, and then they will take in all the rest of the information that's there. And that's what you want. You want people to find your designs appealing to look at, but understandable. The second design principle I'm going to talk through is contrast. Contrast is a principle that helps people tell things apart. It's not just about color, though you might think of it that way. It's about difference. So big versus small, as we've just touched on, but bold versus plain, light versus dark, bright versus muted. In a classroom setting, this is particularly important because you might have early readers, ESL students, the older generation that might be coming in for open afternoons, that might find things harder to read, or just tired parents. Contrast helps everyone process information faster. Here's a common mistake with this sort of, when we want to do something light and soft, say it's for Mother's Day, we will put pastel pink text on a cream background. Or in another example, there might be like light gray text on a light blue background. It might look soft and welcoming, but it's actually not functional. It's very difficult for people to read this text. When you switch to black on white or white on black, that's 100% contrast. That's the most contrast you will achieve. So try to use black or white as your text, and then use either a light or dark background behind those. So I recommend using black or white text and then a contrasting color behind those to ensure that your content is legible. Another way to add more contrast is to use the bold or black version of a font, and also use scale. Contrast isn't about making things shouty, it's just about making things legible. And it's important to remember that people in our communities don't have the same level of visual ability as everyone else. It's varies quite widely. And so designing for people with lower vision means that you're making your content accessible for everyone. Okay, the third design principle we have to get into is alignment. Alignment, if I could sum it up, it means that nothing is just floating. We want to have content that feels grounded, to feel calm and professional. How we do this is you will know this from just any program you've used, you can align text left or right or centered, but it also applies to the overall design. So I'm going to speak to this example here where you have, this slightly off-center text, but the headline is left aligned. And then the bullets are slightly off-center over here. What this does is it creates a little bit of visual noise, and it makes it hard for the person to follow what you're trying to say. So here is this example where everything is cleanly left aligned and there's equal spacing and the objects line up. This feels more calm and professional and trustworthy than the previous example. Again, it's got nothing to do with how pretty the design is or how exciting it is. It's just much more understandable. So hierarchy, contrast, alignment, those are the three principles we just went through. They sound simple, and they are, but together they make a big difference to how you're communicating. In the next section, I'll show you how to apply them in a live example, so get ready for that. All right, let's focus on this example here that we've already had a quick look at. And our principles are hierarchy, contrast, and alignment. And this already has a great level of contrast if we're using black text on a light background. So I think that we can leave it there. If we wanted to warm it up, what we could do is pull in some sort of like dark maroony red. That would still give us a lot of contrast with the text, but ensure that, but bring in a little bit more color to the design. All right, so then we need to look at, okay, none of this has got, there's a little bit of hierarchy going on, but the alignment is off, and we want to fix up those things to make this really easy for people to read. So hierarchy being make the most important thing the biggest thing on the page, and alignment being, be consistent in your alignment. There's no harm in having everything be left aligned like this, and it tidies up the design very quickly. So we went from this, which had great contrast, but not, and a little bit of hierarchy, but the alignment makes it feel like everything's a little unhinged, a bit too loosey-goosey. Come back up to here. When you look at this from a distance, this is a good tip, is to pull right back on your view and go, okay, if this is a poster on the wall, is it clear from my first glance at this that what this piece of content is about, what it is it communicating? Is it relevant to me as someone in the audience, someone, walking by, someone looking into my classroom or into the library? Will they understand what this is saying to them straight away? So using hierarchy, we've made it very clear. 1, 2, 3, 4. What are the most important things on the page? We've used alignment to the left in order to keep things grounded and organized. And we've got strong contrast with our colors. Like I said, a lot of good design isn't about making things prettier. There's nothing inherently more pretty about up here than down here. But it is much clearer for people to read and understand what you're communicating and then engage with it. Like the goal of any of this material that you're making is that people connect with it and come along to your events or do whatever it is that you want them to do. What I want to do next is show you how you can access templates that I've designed that may be relevant for your community. I'm not an education creator. I am a general Canva creator, so my templates are not specific to the school environment, but hopefully there's something there that you can use. So if you come over here to the design tab and search at Take Care Creative, you can see that text there. This will pull up all of my designs, and you can use them no matter what format you're in. So if you're making a video, you can search at Take Care Creative, or if you're making a flyer like this instance, and you can be sure that you're getting work from a strong designer who understands these principles. So say you want to take one of these and turn it into an event poster for your school. You want it to be specific to your school, and you don't have a community garden initiative, for example, but you want to use this template as a basis for your upcoming flower market, for instance, or other event. So what you can do is take this template, and I want to show you this template is a great example of hierarchy and contrast. So light background, strong use of hierarchy, and clear alignment. Say you don't have all these logos, you don't need them. Having your school logo up the top is a great place to have it. It anchors the design. It means people know exactly who's communicating to them. Okay, so your headline for your event is, say, Mother's Day Flower Market. You're going to have a little stall and you want people to know about it. Okay, so you've updated that. We now run into this issue here. What we're going to do is we're going to just move this. It's not free. So let's get rid of that for now. And you can then update the text however you see fit. I'll just leave it there for now. But again, you can update all this. You don't need this extra information. You don't need a website, for instance. Okay, this is what we have left once you've tailored it to your messaging. This is pretty much working in black and white at this stage. But let's get all the words in that we need to have there and go and move on to now finessing it for your school. Say your school colors are green and black, so dark green, dark black. A very simple thing you can do is just change this color here to whatever your school color is. So let's find a green that is probably darker, like that might be your school color, and you can change all of those to that color very, very quickly. And then you go, okay, but I've got all this extra space down here. I don't want to leave this empty space. You can probably fill it with this here. No harm in adding a few more elements. What I don't want you to do is add a lot of different things all up here, because that then throws off the balance and the hierarchy. You're starting to add things into this empty space up here. It feels more important because it's at the top, but really those are not. What we do when we keep all this stuff together down here is we make this feel like almost like one image. Yes, it's lots of little things, but when you pull it all together closely like this and kind of put it in the corner here, it adds to the hierarchy and again, the value of the communication, the clarity of the communication. People's eyes will go 1, 2, 3, and then they kind of will take in the rest of this as one idea. So if they see this, top line, not for me, move on. They're not distracted or confused. But if this is a message for them, they then can bring this in. They can then take in all of the information. So you're like, okay, this is still not feeling like my school or my community enough. You want to add some more color in. Just make sure that when you add in a background color, that it is light if you have dark text, and if it's dark if you have light text. You want the contrast ratio between whatever the text is to the background to be as big as possible. And that's why I always encourage people to use 100% black or 100% white for their text. What it means is you're ensuring that people with visual impairment can see all of the things you're communicating to them. So this is if I wanted to switch it out to be light text, because say that green background is very important for my school community, and I want to make all of this maybe some sort of light green in here. So I'm just going through and recoloring all of these. Maybe your community is very green. And there you go. So this is a dark background, light text version tailored for your school's community colors. And here it is with a lighter background and a dark text background. The hierarchy is still consistent. There's a lot of contrast and there's very clean alignment. I'll just show you really quickly the original so you can see the difference there. So you can take something that's not specific to your school, but you can apply these design principles as you make the edits, and you will communicate very clearly and very effectively to your community. Here are my personal goals for non-designers. And look, you do not have to follow these, but if you are a librarian or a teacher who's expected to make things look good, like posters, slides, hands out, newsletters, all the stuff we've been talking about, but you have no formal design training, these rules will help. Okay, they're a cheat sheet for making your work clearer, easier to read, and more professional without spending hours fiddling and looking for templates and trying new fonts. If you follow these rules, I promise you people will notice, and you will notice that people will read your work more quickly and understand your designs better. Let's get into it. Rule number 1, always start in black and white. If you're designing something from scratch, whether it's a book week flyer, a reading corner, a parent info sheet, whatever it might be, start in black and white. I know that might sound boring, but working without color actually forces you to focus on the things that will make your design very effective. The principles we've already spoken about: hierarchy, contrast, and alignment. When you start in black and white, you can instantly see if something's clear or confusing. If it works without color, it will shine with it. So when you work in black and white and then get the layout and text feeling solid, you can add color to amp it up. Color is the final layer, not the foundation. If your contrast comes from color and not from, say, scale or the weight of the font, it's lacking in clarity. Rule number 2, stick to 2 fonts max, ideally only 1. So what I mean by this is that you want to lean into one font and use it repeatedly and make use of scale, so size, alignment, and also the bold and italics of the font in order to create interest. This is so important if you're making displays or resources for students or communication pieces for your families, because too many fonts can make things feel messy and hard to follow. Instead, choose one solid, easy to read font and use it again and again and again. Use bold and the size to create variety. If you need a second font, make sure it complements the first and doesn't compete with it. Again, this is not about being boring. It's about being consistent, and consistency really builds trust. When you're using something that people can recognize as coming from you, it becomes familiar and trustworthy, and it means they're more likely to pick up what you've created and have a good read of it. Think of it how you might structure a lesson or organize your room. The clearer and more predictable it is, the more people can actually focus on the content. So that's rule number 2. One font, please. Just use one font and go from there. Rule number 3 is about avoiding over-decorating. This is about letting the message of your content shine. Now, I know we love a good book character cutout or a fun border or a colorful background, but too much decoration can really distract from what matters, which is people understanding and reading what you need to tell them. So when you're designing something, whether it's a classroom task, a display, or whatever, get your words in place first. And then if it adds value, bring in one strong image, something that will really connect with people. It could be a photo from last year's event. It could be a picture of a book or an author. Um, it could be, it can be a graphic image or an illustration from the Canva library that just fits your message. But don't put something in just because it fits the space and you need to fill the space. Clutter is always confusing in every facet of life, and clear is what we're going for. The best designs feel calm, grounded, and focused. And that's probably the environment you're trying to create in your school and libraries. So pare it back, use one strong image, and people will hopefully then connect with your design and take in your message. Rule number 4, moving on, is to choose one accent color and use it with purpose. As we've talked about, and as I'm sure you're aware, color is a brilliant way to draw attention, highlight key information and make something really shine. But if everything is colorful, then nothing stands out at all. So here's the trick. Pick one accent color and let it do the heavy lifting for you. Use the color for a call-out box or a deadline or a key date, something that people absolutely have to notice. And then keep the rest of your text simple, so black or white. This makes your message easy to read and again makes it effective because you've used color with intention. That's rule number 4, to use color with purpose. So those are my 4 rules for non-designers, librarian and teacher edition. They are: start in black and white, use 1, maybe 2 fonts. 3, don't over-decorate, focus on clarity instead, use one strong image. And 4, use color with purpose. Design isn't about making things pretty. I'm sure you're well aware of that. It's about getting the message through to your students, your parents, your colleagues as quickly and effectively as possible. Because when your signs are easy to read and your worksheets are clear and your event posters can be taken in at a glance, as you know, everything runs more smoothly. Less confusion, fewer questions, fewer follow-ups, all that extra work that goes on when things aren't communicated effectively. It means you will have more headspace for the work that actually matters. So I don't demand or instruct that you use these 4 rules, but I ask that you give them a try and see how your work starts to look and feel more professional with a lot less effort, because I've done some of the thinking for you. Your school community will notice too, I'm sure. If you have watched this far, I am just so grateful. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. Please provide feedback. Please write comments below and I will respond to them. And please use the resources I've attached as well. I think you will find them really helpful. I am so excited for this event. Thank you to everyone for having me be a part of it. I hope you all have a great time.